y'all, welcome back to Spirit of the Outdoors. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about kudzu. As you see in the video in the title, kudzu is an invasive plant. It's not a native plant. Where it grows, I mean, it is a lot of times a battle. It has some good benefits. So is it that bad, or is it a useful plant? I've got a Southeast medicinal foraging book. Oh, now you can see it. Sun's bright, it's hot. I'm going to read to you a little bit, as I always do, about medicinal plants. The question, though, today I want to answer is it that bad of a plant to have, or has it got some good qualities, some good benefits? So the first thing you need to know is this is a good forage for deer. Now, they probably not going to eat these big, large leaves right now, as big as some of these are. These leaves can get very large. Some right here behind me. These are not as big as they get. They get over there, there's some a little bigger than that, but this is about average size. This is not only a medicinal plant, it is an edible plant. These greens can be eaten. They're better early in the spring when they're young and tender. This plant will die back during the fall and the winter months. You won't even know it's here. But you'll see these vines running along the ground. They're everywhere. You can pull them and they're like this. Those vines will lay there dormant. So when you start learning about it, there's a lot of good uses with kudzu. These flower buds right here. A lot of people are picking these flower buds, and the sun's really bright on them. It's hard to tell. Right there you can see a little better. And I done knocked most of the blooms off of that, and by now they make jelly out of these. Harvest them. They have a bubble gum smell to me, a grape-like smell, and make very good jelly. I have never made jelly from it. I've never used the root. So you dig the root up, and that is more the medicinal part of this plant, and you can make a tincture from it. But the root can also be dried and pulverized and ground into a powder, and use that powder then as a thickening agent, like you would filet in gumbo or such as that. So you can thicken soups and different things with it. So it has some purpose. I did read somewhere that even they went as far as some people made some flour or a flour substitute, so to speak, out of it. I don't know how well it worked. I'm sure you're not going to make cat head biscuits like I had this morning out of it. But you could make hardtack, something like that in a survival situation. So the thing we want to do today, and I always read my medicinal plant stuff, and yeah, I got 2 pair of glasses on my head. It's all right. That's how we roll here in the South. I like this book. I use this book a lot, Southeast Medicinal Plants. This is a very good book. For my area, it covers most of the basic plants that I'm going to use. Now, if you're in different parts of the country, you want a different book. They have different versions of the same book. So identification, now I tried to run the B-roll through it. You see I threw some other plants in there. But it is a vine growing. The central vine is growing somewhere. You got to trace it down to find that taproot. But the vine spreads, it's pretty easy to identify. You got 3 main leaves running off of a vine that's running everywhere. Most people can readily identify kudzu. So the best time to use this plant, first off, the leaves, if you're going to use the leaves, to eat them early in the spring. The flower buds, right now is the time to harvest them to make jelly. This is mid-August. This is the time to come through here, pick you all of these flowers out of it that you want, take them home, make jelly. Do that now. The root, more apt to use that over in the wintertime. Once these leaves start dying back, most of the power of this plant's going back to the root. That is when you want to do it. So I'll show some more clips of the plant, but I've already in the B-roll tried to do the best I can to identify it so that you can identify that. So the parts used is the root and the flowers. The main uses is it stops alcohol cravings and helps muscular pain. So I'm going to read right now over some of these medicinal uses straight out of this book. I don't like to stand here and tell you everything about it. Kudzu is another Asian herb with a long history of medicinal use in its native continent that has become weedy in North America, much like burdock, mimosa, Japanese knotweed. Learning to use these herbs helps us appreciate these abundant plants as abundant sources of medicine. Kudzu root is used mostly in Western herbal medicine to reduce alcohol cravings and help with hangovers. But in traditional Chinese medicine, it is used for viral infections, for relaxing tight muscles. For centuries, it has been used in formulas for upper respiratory infections. Although it is not particularly antiviral, this abundant weed helps to open things up, move the pathogen out, and it is specifically used when there is a shoulder and upper back tension. Back across the upper part of your back, and all that's tight. That comes along with the infection. It is cooling and moistening and can be used to help clear fevers while nourishing the fluids of both the lungs and the stomach. It has been used for both chronic diarrhea from digestive deficiency and acute diarrhea with fever. Although I first learned as it's relieving muscles aches specifically from an illness, it can be used more generally as a mild antispasmodic for tight and tense muscles and is starting to be used more broadly for acute neck and shoulder pain and injuries. It can also help sinus headaches. These flowers and the roots have long been used as an antidote for excessive indulgence in alcohol, both to relieve a hangover symptoms and to decrease the desire for further indulgence. This is not anti-abuse, but it does support someone who wants to quit by decreasing cravings for alcohol. For this purpose, it is usually taken as a capsule, tea, or glycerin extract. There is a lot of promising research on kudzu as for other actions, as well as including treating high blood pressure, lowering blood sugar, stopping internal blood clots, and treating coronary artery disease. It is also high in phytoestrogens. That's a lot of claims for one herb, but it does seem worthy of further investigation. So those last things I just read, they are investigating this herb for those purposes. So it could possibly, with further research, lower some blood sugar, help with blood pressure, some of these other things. So the herbal preparation says the roots, fresh or dried, can be prepared as a tincture or glycerite. Fresh 1 to 2 at 95% or dry 1 to 5 at 50%. So it's nice to have as alcohol-free extract for those quitting alcohol. So when it talks about alcohol-free, you could use the tincture with vinegar. Make apple cider vinegar. I've used a lot of apple cider vinegar for tinctures. So you could pick these blooms right here for herbs. So instead of just standing here as I've been doing and telling you what all this herb can do, I want to take you and I want to show you these roots, because instead of me standing here bouncing around on my tiptoes just talking about a plant, we want to go over here and I want to show you that digging this root up is a little more to it. Because if you read in this book about where and when to wildcraft, it says that this vine immediately goes straight down the taproot. I have not found that to be a fact. So let's go take a look. Let me show you what to realistically expect when you start diving into digging and harvesting and using this plant. All right, y'all, me and Roscoe, y'all didn't even know he was with me, did you? Where's he at? There he is. He's hiding under there. He's using them for a shade, what he's doing. So what you want to do is you want to grab these vines and start pulling on them and figure out where they go. Well, for me, I was very fortunate. I can look right over there and I could see those main vines going way up in that tree. That is kudzu vines. So where those main vines are going up in that tree, that is where all of these branches is stemming off from. So let us tiptoe, and yes, I'm barefooted out here in this thicket. And Roscoe, I believe he's tangled up. I don't know if he made it through. And I'm struggling to keep everything in frame in the camera. So come on with us. Roscoe, you know where you're going? Y'all, look at that bloom right there. Pretty blooms, and look at that one. So you see how tall that bloom is? A lot of the petals is off of it, but all of that can still be used. Let's get over here. I'm trying to tiptoe through some of this. Roscoe's coming right along behind me, y'all. And there's some more blooms. So you can poke around in here and find some blooms. So fortunately for y'all, I came over here earlier, located this set of roots, and I'm walking through some briars right here. And I already pre-dug this hole, and I have not dug up the roots, but I have exposed them. I wanted you to be able to see what you were dealing with when you decided, hey, I'm looking for this plant. So y'all see behind me this hole I've got dug out. Let's turn around and look at it. So right here, let me lay my book down right over there. You see this root coming. And it's coming from right up here on this main root vine right here. And this continues right under my feet. I did not expose it. I do not know how far it runs back on over in here. So you want to identify what a vine looks like. So I exposed this all the way up so that you could see that I am correctly telling you what vine is what. You see them branching all out. Well, this is what this vine looks like going up this tree. And they're twisted together. There's several of them. You see this one running over here, catches this tree and wraps tightly around it, choking that tree as it goes up. And then things go right on up to the top, and you can see limbs branching out. So off of that, you've got a lot of runners like this. And see, that is what's running off over yonder somewhere, and some of these are dead, but it never truly really all dies. You see there's green nodes at, and has been probably eat off by a deer. But they're running steadily right up through there. And you see all of that over there, it starts branching out, and it goes out there where when it starts getting sunlight out there, then it starts leaving out. So when you start wanting to harvest a plant for medicinal purposes, this is what you're looking for. You see this over here? This comes off my main root. This is a big section of it. This one here comes off. So I have to identify what plant and root I am looking for here. And see all of these fibers in this? So here's what I suggest. I would take my cutters like this. I'm going to turn y'all down a little bit. And I would go in here for harvesting. You're going to need you a good shovel and dig. Once you find these plants, you can harvest you enough right here to fill up a jar to do what you're going to do. I have already cut a lot of this in two because I was digging at it. But you got to learn to look at the bark that's coming off of that and to be able to identify the root correctly. So you want to know that it's coming off of this main taproot. The book says that that root goes straight down in the ground, but it's blatantly obvious that it don't. Now, that don't mean that you may not find a root that does go straight in the ground. It is quite possible that there's some that do go straight in the ground, but what I am telling you is it don't always do that, okay? So, find your vine, identify your main big vine, and then you'll hit that root, and you can harvest enough out of it, just like this, to do what you want to do for a tincture, okay? You don't need a lot. Hey, it ain't gonna take a lot of this right here to fill up a jar. So you can pretty well grab that and pull you out several good handfuls of this pretty quickly, and you're not gonna decimate this plant. I don't think you're gonna over harvest it. And it is not very hard. You see how easy I am cutting through this plant. I mean, just that right there. I mean, it's, so you get enough pretty quickly to make you a tincture. I don't think that is what I need. I want this root here. And I ain't gonna dig up no whole lot. I just want enough right now to go make me a tincture out of these roots. I will wash them. It does say to pull the bark off, clean the bark off of these plants. So I'm gonna take them home and wash them and scrub them. And yeah, turn the camera around, trying to get the sun out of the screen where it ain't bleaching everything out. So anyway, check out, I'll put a link to this book in the description. It's got a lot of good plants in it, y'all. This is an excellent book on all different kind of herbs. I think it is well worth to owning it, especially if you live in the Southeast. Get that one. There's other versions. But I just wanted to show y'all that this plant has got a lot of good uses. I talked to one of my buddies, and he said, man, he said, when I had a deer patch, he said, I bush hogged that stuff and then fertilized it. He said, I'd bush hog it over at the end of the summer. He said, and fertilize it in the fall. And he said, the deer would come in and just love them new shoots. So use it to your advantage. Yeah, it's an invasive species, but we stuck with it. We're not getting rid of it. So learn to use it to your advantage. Thank y'all for watching Spirit of the Outdoors. Remember, the best way to do things is the way you like to do it. We'll see y'all. One other thing, if you're going to harvest this root, you better get you a shovel and not be afraid to use it, because it's some work. You're not going to just run out here with a spoon and pick you up some of this root and use it. It don't work that way. We'll see y'all.